The wood shop is sponsored by Chefware Kits, Nova, and their new Infinity system. Alright, welcome back. I hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. I'm going to make a lightsaber today. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, I'm just using a little sled here to true up one side of the board. This is just rough lumber. I used myrtle wood and mahogany for the whole project, and then I'll take it and cut it into 1 1/8" strips. Don't forget the Christmas Ornament Challenge for 2014 ends November 30th at midnight. That's Sunday, so you have a couple days left. If we haven't seen your entries yet, please submit them. It's to Alan or myself. Alright, I went ahead and ran them through the surface center so they're all the same dimension. They're 3 feet by 1 1/8", 1 1/8". So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a lot of packing tape, what I'm actually going to use. But I'm going to put a little spot, just a little bit, on the corners here. Ooh. Alright, now I'm just going to square this up and wrap it with the tape. Alright, I let it set up overnight, and what I'm going to do is I need this true down here so it can go into the handle, but I'm going to go ahead and start working this area. And like I said before, I may move the tape, or after I get this done, I may move the tape to here to leave it together. I've never tried anything this big with inside out turning, and it just has glue there and glue on the other end, so this is all kind of just taped together. So I'm going to take it nice and slow, and I'm going to use a spindle gouge. I haven't done a whole lot of inside out turning, but it seems to work. I get the best results with it. Alright, so I'm going to start this speed out at, I don't know, let's find out here, about 700. Alright, I have it trued up. I still have a little flat spot right there, so it must not be dead center, but I'll get rid of that. And I'm going to switch to a round nose scraper and a big one and try and just get it nice and clean. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and sand that, and then we'll move on down. Alright, and just going to wrap some tape around that. Alright, and then I'm just going to leave a pretty small spot there. I'd like to have these little openings, you know, all the way down, pretty close. And same thing, I'm just going to leave this speed at 700. It cuts all right. I don't want to chance it. It's a pretty big chunk of wood. My little spot where I need to glue it back together, those are an inch. I'm going to come over an inch here. And then go 6 inches. Alright, I don't know how well you can see that on the camera, but it's really, it's starting to vibrate right there pretty bad. So I'm just gonna, I think that's really close. So I'm just gonna do that, sand that up and leave it alone, because you can see the ghosting when I start cutting into it. It's just bouncing right there. You could come in here and put your steady rest on if you want to, but that would probably be a lot safer. But I'm just going to sand that and then move down, and it won't vibrate as much down there. All right, and I sanded these things a little bit. I'm probably going to hit them with the orbital sander a little bit more, because what I want to do when I flip the whole thing back together, I want to put a little light in the handle that shines up, and if you leave those sharp, they'll come together and the light won't be able to go all the way to the top. So I haven't decided what I'm going to do for the light yet, but I'll mess around with that later. But I do know it needs to shine all the way through, so I'll work on that in a minute. But I'm going to move on to the next one. Alright, I have that last one done. I went ahead and knocked the corners off of those. I took the tape off of this section here. I'm going to turn the speed down to about 250 or so, and then sand the whole thing to get the tape marks and everything off. But I think if I ever do another one, I would do maybe 6 inches, 5 inches, 4, 3, and that way it would give it a cool little tapered effect going up. But we'll see how it looks, and hopefully the light will shine up through the middle and it'll all work out. So I'm just going to dry sand this thing and then we'll pull it apart. Alright, all I did was, you can see the little arcs go out. I know it's not pretty, but That way they all go back together. You just face the turned part in, and I'm just going to glue the whole thing back together and then put glue in the middle of it too. Alright, I'm going to true this part of it up right here and turn a tenon down here so I can grab it with the chuck, and I'm letting the handle dry up while I do that. And I'm just going to use a roughing gouge, and I'm still going to keep it right around, I don't know, maybe 900 or so RPMs. Alright, I just mounted it in the chuck, brought the tailstock back up. This is my last project right here, the Lightsaber with the Nova chuck. This is going to be one of the prizes for the ornament challenge. So remember, Sunday at midnight Pacific Standard Time is the deadline. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and start truing this whole thing up and see how it goes. Those aren't very deep, so that's nice because I want to bring it down quite a bit. So I'm just going to work my way down. I'm actually going to turn it up a little bit faster, probably 11 or 1200 RPMs to try and get a cleaner cut on it. But let me get my face shield. Alright, I'm going to use my skew and try and clean the whole thing up and taper it down. I raised the tool rest up to about center, and I might adjust that a little bit. I'm going to turn the speed up a little bit too. I don't want to catch one of these voids here and have it blow apart on me. I'll bring you in for a closer look in just a second, but for that, now is not the time to mess around with playing with the heel or anything else. I'm going to try and keep that cutting edge as close to center as I can get it, so I don't mess this up. All right, I'm going to give her a shot. I'm going to turn it up to probably 1600 and see how that works. Alright, it's cutting nice and clean. I still need to bring it down quite a bit though. All right, I have it trued up. I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down a little bit more. These are still pretty thick, and I'd like to have it taper down quite a bit and actually look like a lightsaber when I'm done. All right, I'm just gonna keep working on it and bringing it down. It's, I don't know, it's still, I'm gonna go a little bit more. I think that's a little too thick. All right, I think I have a nice taper to it. I'm gonna go ahead and sand it, and I'm gonna use my DA just that way I can get it nice and smooth all the way down and there's no little ripples in it. But so I need to turn on the air compressor and dust collector and everything else for that. So I will come back when I get it done, and I think I'm gonna bring down this little tenon here that's gonna slide into the handle just a little bit more, but I will measure that. And I got the other one gluing up now. So I just dry sanded the whole thing. I didn't want to get a bunch of wax down in there. So I'm going to turn it around now and take the lamp auger that I have and run it up through the middle here. I wanted to have a hole all the way down because I remembered I had this. And I'm going to stick that inside of there. So when the flashlight comes up, it'll hopefully shine out and brighten it up on the inside. But we'll see. But I need a hole in the center anyway if it doesn't work out, to so that the light from just the flashlight can shine up in there. All right, so I'm going to mount this back up and then run the auger in just to that bottom point, and hopefully it'll go through the rest of them. All right, I measured the handle. I'm going to bring the tenon down just a little bit more here, and then I'm going to go ahead and work on the tip of it there and take that off. Okay, I'm just gonna cut that off with the saw. It's in the chuck, but I don't want a chance it flopping around and hitting the tool rest. So I'm turn the speed down, way down, and sand that, and then I'll part it off here. All right, I have that all rounded over. I'm gonna put some walnut oil on it. And I don't want to put any wax or anything in it that will get down inside, so just gonna use the oil. There we go. It's actually pretty light. Nice. All right, let's make the handle. I'm gonna glue this together with one piece here, and then I'm gonna, after it dries, I'll cut it in half and then glue in the other piece. All right, I just cut this one in half because it's going to be hollow in the center anyway, so it doesn't matter, and it wasn't quite long enough, so I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to put a little bit of weight on that, let it set up for a sec so they don't move when I clamp it, and then I'll put the other side on. All right, the glue set up. I'm just going to go ahead and true it up and put a tenon down on the end of it, and I'm going to turn lathe speed up to about 1500 to start, and then I'll crank it up. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the chuck now. All right, I'm just coming in with a Forstner bit, and I'm actually just doing for this portion right here, and then I'll do a larger one on the other end for the other side. But I want it pretty tight in there. All right, I went ahead and turned it around in the chuck. I'm going to come in, this is my largest size, and this is for the tenon for the other piece, and then I'll drop down to a smaller size for the flashlight. Alright, sorry about that. The camera shut off and I didn't realize it. I was trying to get the flashlight in with the handle being one piece and it wasn't working out, so I had to cut it in half and turn these little rings out of mahogany so I could put it back together. And it worked out better this way. I think the rings add something to it. Go right in like that. And the cap will go on, and then we'll do the other part. This way you can unscrew the cap and replace the batteries. All right, I got the other ring put on. So I'm just going to put a little bit of Gorilla Glue around the ring here and drop the flashlight in and let that set up, and then I'll put the other part in. But it just goes in like that, and then the cap will screw on. But you needed the flashlight to actually be fixed in there, or it'll just start spinning. You won't be able to get the cap off. So I'm just going to do that and let that set up. All right, the glue set up on the flashlight. Just take my little plastic rod there. I'm not sure what that stuff's called. So I'm just going to put some glue on this and put it together. Once it's together, you won't be able to get the flashlight back, but oh well, it'll look cool. Ah. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. I really like how it changes colors, goes from the green to orange, and then the strobe, of course. I had a few issues with it, with the handle. I think if I made another one, I would try and find a smaller flashlight. And also I used 1 1/8" pieces for the staff here, and I would probably go down to 3/4 so I can make this thinner, and that way I can bring the handle down a little bit too. But other than that, it was a fun project. I think it turned out pretty nice, and I really like the way that shines through there. And I might even maybe color the inside when I do the inside out turning. Maybe color that with whatever color. I think you can get this plastic in red or blue or whatever, and then maybe paint it whatever color you were using. I think that might add a little bit something to it. But as always, thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.